I want to talk a little bit more about working with chalk and how versatile it can be. I want to show you a few different surfaces first. These three are done in Crayola white chalk, which is, I was just on Amazon, 99 cents a box of 12, or you can get 3 boxes for like $3.87 or something like that. This is on slate, real slate rock from outside. This is on a painted board, piece of wood that I painted black. And this is on a, this is actually a vintage slate board. And real slate gives a wonderful effect to chalk. It's a beautiful effect. That pair took me about 10 minutes at the most. And it's a very realistic effect on real slate. And because of the smooth surface, it's easier to blend than the slate rock. Now this is Yarka Pastels, which I've made a few videos about. This is on black wool suiting fabric. And I have been going through a few days of getting confused and not being able to sort things out from a seizure. And part of that is, what's helping is putting my art supplies in piles of what they belong in. And the chalk work got a little bit confusing because, I mean, these are beautiful pastels and beautiful colors. And I really like Yarka Pastels. Jerry's Artorama had this 60 color set at one point. But Blick right now only has, I think, the 30 color set. And they're a little bit pricey. The 30 color set was $38. This took me about 10 minutes to do this pair. And this is on, like I said, 100% wool black suiting fabric. Which, although I've used a lot of different fabrics for chalk work or art on fabric, this, it's not like velvet. It's not like an Elvis on velvet painting. It's a little bit difficult to work it, which makes it perfect. It's like a textured paper. Now, I'm going to be checking this as far as washability, because the Richardson now makes them, but they're actually originally Yarka from Russia. But now Jack Richardson makes them, and I believe most of them are made in China. But most of the pigments are really good permanent pigments. So I don't know how easily this will come out of the wool, but I've done a couple of videos on walking. This is actually one of my walkers. And I'm just using it as a place to put the pastels. But these wooden boxes, you don't need a pastel case. You don't need a lot of extra equipment. You can, especially the 30 color set, you tuck the box under your arm, you can go anywhere. And I just ran into at Blick, they're called street pastels. They're also, I believe, by Jack Richardson. They're pretty expensive. They're a set of 12 was like $40-something. So they must be handmade, and they're, I mean, they say they're for murals. I don't know how you could possibly afford to do a mural paying $40-something for 12 sticks. But it means other art suppliers are realizing, well, wait a minute, you know, we want to be able to draw outside. So I have all my rocks in the hallway that I can draw on, that I can put at my front step, put on the porch. I can share my art that way. This morning on my walk, I actually just added a white flower to my yellow flower. I could do a bouquet by the time I'm done. I think all of this is positive, and if you want to lean toward the professional, then I would say get a set of Yarkas, and out of the soft pastels that are somewhat soft but a little bit hard, the lesser priced pastels, the Yarkas, are really good, and Blick has them, like I said, in a set of 30. So this pair took me more work than any of the other surfaces. Now I'm drawing very lightly, and I'm just going to do my, it's actually a signature yellow flower. I have a yellow flower done in oil, and all of these yellow flowers kind of work off of that. So obviously yellow on black is easy, but I just want to show you how easy it is to blend or not easy. See how this fabric, and you would have to go pick out a fabric that you liked, but this is 100% wool suiting fabric. The fabric itself is almost doing the blending. And then you could bring in pastel pencils to do detail work if you wanted to. Now yesterday I did a video showing you one of my pastel paintings that is framed and gallery ready, and fragile. It's fragile, and it needed to be framed and closed. With something like this, it's almost like sketching on paper, only you're using fabric. So let's say I develop this and I like the way it looks, and then even I could do it on paper if I wanted to, redo it on paper, use this as a way to lay out the colors. But you can see that this is just more or less going down beautifully. Almost the best pastel paper, quote unquote, that I've used. Now, hard to erase, but not that hard. You can use a toothbrush to get that off of there if you want to redo something. So this is another aspect of working with chalk. Now, this is about 24 inches long. And look at that. Stick it right in my pocket. And the other word of sidewalk artist is to go sit on the sidewalk somewhere and draw. So today when we were walking, I was, excuse me, actually upset that I didn't have a sketch board with me. And I could have been drawing, there's a tree stump with some ants and stuff. I could have been drawing a lot of things. There's a crabapple tree, a rose of Sharon. There's a lot of stuff that as you walk around you could stop and draw. You don't have to draw on the street or in public spaces. But I think that the idea, especially with PTSD, you go out and do something that you're in control of. And pastel is a very fragile medium, which means you have to take care as you're working it. So you pay attention to what you're doing, even if you're working with Crayola chalk, and you are able to develop a sense of, what am I saying? What am I trying to say? What do I want to do? Now, if I want to, there are a lot of shops around here carry artwork. I could make this like a little portable portfolio. And if I'm in a shop, I could say, oh, I see you carry artwork. Here's some of my work. Do you want to see the originals? You know, or do you want to see framed pieces? Can I bring some in on commission? Chalk is wonderful. Here's the black wool. I just washed it out. You can barely see the outline of the pear. and I don't think you can see the flower. All I did was kitchen sink, bar of soap, lathered up my hands, rubbed the bar of soap over the fabric, and it came right out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this up, I'm going to stitch around the edges and put a pinked edge on the fabric. And this is a portable chalkboard, pastel board. And this is why I have to do this, is because I have so many chalkboards and blackboards, and yet the better pastels don't always do well on a blackboard. You can ruin your blackboard because of the pigment colors. So most people then buy pastel paper. And I've used yarkas on muslin, on a lot of different surfaces, but I forgot I had this black wool. I actually have about 2 yards of it, and if I edge it and pink it, I will have probably a 36-inch square by 36-inch square that I can use as a reusable pastel paper. So that was Dial bar soap, and like I said, you can kind of still see the pear there, but all I did was rub the soap over the fabric. It's another way to use yarkas and create beautiful art. Now the other thing is, I had a peanut butter jar yesterday, and the yarkas adhered to the lid of the peanut butter jar like you wouldn't believe. So they're very versatile, and they're like the upscale chalk, and they're less expensive than Street Sticks by Richardson. Now here's one more thing, and I'm hoping you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to sit down. This is the out front. These are vintage design new pastels, which are hard pastel, and I think Prismacolor makes them now. 96 colors, beautiful pastels. I think you can see the box, maybe not. Those are just some of them. Wonderful sticks to work with, and what I'm going to try and do here, and I hope the camera will cooperate. Okay, so that little thing of grass is where we're aiming. And let's just do a basic punch-out. This is the black wool fabric. These are wonderful. And the punches have all, these are yellowish green next to me, but they have beautiful hues of green. Now don't be afraid to work in lines and cross-hatching, because it adds texture. So these are what I would call ground colors that I'm laying down to get an idea of the plant. And you can see how that blends together. This is wonderful. Now, right now, I'm out on the front step, and the first 2 videos that I've been doing are more or less about PTSD, but some days, whether you have PTSD or not, you just want to stay home. And so that white isn't laying down as bright I want it. Well, Frenches have little spines called glochings, along with longer spines, some of the varieties. But you need like a point to put them at. Get to the other colors. Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Now there's a beautiful range of blues and purples with this set. That you can use to just add a little bit of punch, whether or not there's really that color blue next to the plant. Now in pen and ink, this would be all like dappled because they're very bumpy. And I picked these because I'm sitting right next to them. When you're doing highlights or lights and darks, you don't ever want to just go right down the middle. You want to keep it random. In other words, you don't want it perfect, because then, well, you don't want it perfect unless you're doing Botanical Illustration. Then you want it perfect. Now these could be a little bit sharper, and I didn't bring them outside, but I could get the pastel pencils and add this a little bit better. But you can see by using this fabric, I haven't had to blend anything. I can if I want, but I haven't had to. So those are designed new pastels on 100% wool sheeting. Not sheeting, suiting. And just another chalk. These are all chalks. And most of them are fairly inexpensive, and you can experiment with different chalks until you find a product that has colors that you feel you can work with. Now, let me show you how versatile these are, if the camera picks this up. I used to do this when I was a kid, when I was in high school, when I didn't like the clothes I had on, when I was like 11 to 13, I had to wear polyester. That's all anybody had was polyester. Chalk is wonderful. It really is. It's instant color. And if you don't like what you've drawn, you can just wash it away.